This is a bit different to my usual ones because I normally say welcome to the speaking podcast or welcome to the meditation podcast. This is actually going to go out on both of them. So I'm going to say welcome to the speaking and meditation podcast. And I'm a podcasting coach and I've got 5 podcasts. And you find everything about me on bio.link/podcaster. Looking forward to this, and you'll understand why I'm putting it on both. My guest, he's a high performance results coach. He does mind, body, and sound seminars. And we're not just talking about small little seminars. We're talking massive seminars. He's actually written, I know of one book, perhaps more, Living Forever Young. And if you can, you'd need to go onto the video because this is on BitChute and YouTube as well. So you see, this guy does look very young. And he's also, as you can see from his lovely t-shirt, he's the founder of Celltrition. Please welcome the miracle man, Skip Archimedes.
Pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation too. We're going to share some magic. So
I know that basically the people that are doing a lot tend to be doing more. I might have missed some of the things that you're doing. So if I did, please share it with the listeners.
Well, what we're doing now is there's 2 sides of the company, as you said. There's the events side of the company, and what that has really brought to the world is if we're not evolving as an individual person, then a part of us feels like it's dying. And what I've really created, I really feel that this is our zone of genius, that life has so many ingredients in it and so much for us to experience. But the challenge is, if we don't have this balance, if we don't have this alignment, you can have the fame or the fortune. You could even have your own company doing what you love, but if there's no balance, you can literally lose your life doing what you love. Like, this is how crazy the world is getting. Like, you look at someone like Jack Ma, created a $42 billion company, Alibaba. Kids died of cancer, wife died of cancer. He's now going through the cancer himself. So my question is, how much of that money would he give back? How much of that money would he give back to get his loved ones back? And I believe he'd probably say all of it. So I've had the fortune of coaching like high-level celebrities where, again, on the outside, they look like they have everything, the fame and the fortune, and I start coaching them, and inside all messed up mentally, messed up physically. So what's happening is our world is getting very, very toxic. We're breaking things down, including ourselves. And here's why I believe that this challenge, this chapter of life is such a big challenge, because it's time for the new world to be born through us. And what that means is systems have to come collapsing down. Things have to be literally broken down before they get rebuilt. So, why am I talking about this? Because that's literally how I've learned to do what I do in life. And I'll give like one of my breakdowns where I was a gymnast and I had an accident in the gym. I got told that I'd never stand or walk again. So I was swinging around a high bar, and instead of letting go of the bar and going away from the bar and somersaulting and disc landed down, this is where literally like a millisecond can be the difference between doing something beautiful that's amazing, or letting go a millisecond too late, coming up over on the bar, land on the bar, collapse in a heap. I'm in and out of consciousness. And when, we get all the results, they say, look, you've broken your back and people don't heal from this injury. Now that information that came in became my belief system. Oh my God, no one heals from this. So I'm not going to heal from this. And that became my reality. And I'd been in depression before, but now I couldn't even go for a walk. Now I could not even escape what was going on. And suicidal thoughts, wanted to give up on life, wanted to get out of the game of life, wasn't nice to be around, was just completely victimized on all levels.
And what age were you when this happened?
18.
Oh.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm going to be nearly 50 now. So we're going back over 30 years. And here's what I learned, that our greatest challenges are our greatest gifts. Potentially, because the greatest challenge could end up being the very thing that someone holds on to the negative effect, and they keep holding on to the story. And guess what? They keep pulling themselves back to that I will say a reality. Although it's an illusion, the brain doesn't recognize the difference between reality and actual reality, something that we're creating. The challenge that people are doing at the moment is they're creating these realities that pull them back to the past. So people aren't even able to be present in the future, present in the moment, or they're not able to have an empowering future because now they're holding on to all this toxic stuff, toxic belief systems, toxic habits, potentially toxic people, toxic stuff. And now they go and look at life through that lens. Guess what? They're not even excited to wake up the next day. Whereas what I want to say is, look at kids. They spring out of bed. Like when people are around me, like we just got back from taking over the whole resort in Costa Rica. And then I get basically paid a lot of money by 5 top business execs to go and run that same 5-day process for them privately. Now, when we do these events, we're all there together. So what does it mean? We go to sleep together. We wake. I mean, we've got separate bedrooms and stuff, but it's like, right, night now, and we go to sleep, and then we wake up, and they see what happens like to me behind the scenes, and they're like, "What? Where the hell are you getting this energy from?" And I'll say this: the same place where kids get their energy from. So you got a choice. You can play life like a kid, and I'm not talking about being childish. I'm talking about being childlike. Because for me, when I was really trapped up in the mind and the mind mastered me. So what did the mind do? It's like, you're never going to walk again. What's the point of you being in this game of life? You're not even good at anything. And now you need people to look after you, bathe you, clean you, feed you. There's no point in you being here. That was like the language that just kept circling around again and again and again. And when I learned that if I took on a childlike attitude, children are resilient. Like, you tell me, have you ever seen a child that's learning to walk, which we know it's going to stand up and fall down? It might then step and then fall down, do a couple more steps, then fall down. Tell me this, Roy. Have you ever seen a child complain about falling down? It's laughable. So we had to learn something that disconnects us from an energy, from a power, an intelligence, a playful attitude. But now we're going to learn something that took all that stuff away. So for me, it was understanding that, and really what changed it for me was mum comes in one day and she says, look, I don't think it's game over. I found someone who broke his back. He was in traction. He came back fitter and stronger than before. And he went on to inspire millions of people around the world. So I'm like, who? And she goes, Bruce Lee. And I'm like, the movie star. I'm like, come on, mum. They read a script. They learn a script. This isn't real. And she's like, it's real. I read his life story. He broke his back. He was in traction. And if he did it, why can't you? And I couldn't come up with the answer, why not? Because I was like, if he did it, then all I've got to do is find out what he did and copy it. That's it. So that's what I did. And here's what I learned in that process. That there's only 3 ways that any of us get to experience any form of life. So if we want to improve any area of their life, we need to learn what these 3 things are. One's the mind, but the challenge that most people are going through now is 95% of most people's thoughts in the modern world are negative. Most people have not mastered their mind. Their mind had mastered them. And what does the mind do? It keeps them trapped in their comfort zone. And here's what I want to say. Life begins outside your comfort zone. So we've got the mind to be able to deal with. We then got this incredible thing that we live in, the body. And this thing is a miracle beyond itself because all of us are getting gifted 50,000 new cells every 3 seconds. If we cut ourselves, we're going to heal. So if we heal on the outside, can we heal on the inside? And the answer is yes. And this thing is regenerating. So like a year from now, most of the cells in this physical body are brand new cells. Then we get to the part that's really exciting. And this fires me up more than anything. And I was at this event last night doing a keynote talk, and Josh Kelly, the boxer, he was on my table. And I got on stage and I was talking about the spirit, and I could just see his chin was on the floor. And he goes, look at this, Skip. My food came. I didn't even want to eat. I just wanted to suck up everything you were saying. I need to learn what it is that you're teaching. He said, because it's going to give me an unfair advantage in the ring. And I'm like, game on. So we're now messaging each other, because when it comes to like high level athletes, I've had the fortune of working with world famous CEOs, world famous athletes, celebrities, and just average people that just want to improve their lives. And the beautiful thing is, whatever level people come into our teachings, they always leave at a higher level. And here's why. Those three engines, we've got the body, we've got the mind. The third one, now listen to this. Now, this is not Skip saying this, and people are going to listen to this. Their brain's going to go, well, they're BS. And it's not a belief system. It's science. So what I'm now going to say is scientific data. And most people aren't going to be able to get their heads around it. But when I say this, I just invite people to understand that there was a part of them that knows this is the truth. 99.999999999% of what we are, of what we really are, is non-visible and non-physical. It's like, where the hell is it then? So 0.0000001% of what we are is this physical thing that we can touch. So if we want to shift anything in our life, whether it's our mind or body, finances, relationships, career, happiness, adventures, whatever, and that will change at different chapters. Here's what I've learned. This is what gives us the unfair advantage. So when I was told, that's it, you're never going to walk again, how did I do it? And this is in short, there was a lot of ingredients in the mix, but this is essentially what I did. And I can teach this to anyone. I shifted. We all have a frequency. Now, what it means is that there's a certain energy that breathes through us. There's a frequency that breathes through us. Now, let's say that we're driving a car and you sat next to me and the radio's on, and say Rap FM is on, and you just do not like rap music. And what you're going to do, ask me to drive away from the music? No, you can't do that. Why? Because the car has a receiver, so that wherever the car goes, it's going to receive based on what that frequency is. So how do we change what we receive? Only one thing. We have to change the frequency. It's got nothing to do with mindset. This is why most people fail. They think, oh, change my mind. Personal will. It's like, it's dealing with such a small part of what we are. So if science can prove that 99.9999999% of what we are is non-visible, non-physical, imagine this. This physical thing is like the physical body. But how are we connecting to anything outside of this? 3G, 4G, 5G, and Wi-Fi. Imagine having this without 3G, 4G, 5G, or Wi-Fi, and everybody else is connected. What are you going to start to feel very quickly? Like you're missing out on something, that you're not being connected to something more than just this. So the challenge is, if we don't connect to our spirit, what we're doing is, it's like leaving money on the table or leaving opportunities on the table. You're leaving life on the table because you haven't discovered the best part of what we are. Now, some people call it like a childlike spirit, but I'm like, they only label it childlike spirit because children still have it. Imagine having that spirit in our adult life, where we have an abundance of energy like kids do all the time. We're naturally moving our bodies in fun ways like kids do all the time. We learn things super fast, especially like for the first time in human history, we got the grandkids teaching the parents and the grandparents new things. Why? Because of technology. Never happened in human history before until technology came out. We used to learn from the elders. Now it's time to learn from the younger generation. Why? Because they haven't got all this BS programming going on, disconnecting them from the truth. So people can be mind manipulated, and information can be received in the mind that can drop into the subconscious part of the mind. And then guess what happens? Whatever is in anybody's subconscious mind plays out in their physical reality. And it definitely plays out in their internal reality. So what do we need to do? We've got to get reprogrammed. It's the only way. So for me, when I was in traction, I knew I had to be reprogrammed, because all my limiting beliefs and thoughts were coming up. You're never going to stand again. You're never going to walk again. There's no point in you being in this game of life. But then I start reading all this stuff on Bruce Lee. And now, first of all, my belief system changed. Then my focus changed. I got hungry to start absorbing and learning something new. And he became my world-class coach. I never met the guy. He was dead. I think he was dead. Was he dead then?
I think he died in 73 or something like that, didn't he?
Okay, no. So he wasn't dead. But yeah, no. So I never met the guy. But was I able to learn from him? Life saving. Because what he did what like Roger Bannister did, where everyone says, "Oh, you can't run a 4-minute mile; it's impossible." One person around the world had a different belief system, and they could scientifically prove it was impossible for a person to run a mile faster than 4 minutes, because he was focused on something different. He did the right, training at a high level, and there was no doubt in his mind that he wasn't going to do it. So he did it. That year, 37 other people smashed it. Now we've got students smashing it, school kids smashing it. So we're meant to be evolving all the time. And what I truly believe is the best parts of ourselves are yet to be discovered. So for me, when I literally had no fear, I started to learn this stuff, and I started to be able to feed the mind in the right way and get the mind activated. I was able to start to feed the body in the right ways and start to get the body activated, even though I still wasn't moving the body. Because a single thought, like a negative thought, can drain the body of energy. A healthy thought can bring energy into the system. So our thoughts can make us ill. Our thoughts can make us well. So it can be constructive or destructive. We just got to decide, do we want our thoughts to tell us what to do, or do we want to tell the mind what's going on? Because if we don't master the mind, the mastermind's us, and it screws our lives up because we believe what the illusion is. So then I learned the best thing of all is how to get myself activated spiritually. And this is where I was able to start to open up. And this is what we teach people at our events. We open people up to a force. And you had a little taster of this over in Poland, where, we kind of got the room, fired up with energy. And what we do at Supercharge Life is, at this point where you go into a higher frequency, because this is what I want people to understand, the way that we shift our realities is not by putting more stuff in the brain. It's actually from raising our consciousness levels. It's raising our frequency up, because now instead of listening to like Pain FM, Suffering FM, Poor Me FM, Victim FM, all these frequencies that people are going in, now all we've got to do is learn how to turn the dial, how to change the frequency, and what we're going to tune into. What I call the supercharged frequency, which is where miracles get born. And this is where we start being able to take the invisible and make it visible. This is where we can take, literally, we can go through a mess and we can turn that into a message that can go and inspire and help somebody else's life. This is where we can take something from the fabric of the mind and pull it into this physical reality. And that's what we're meant to be doing as humans, is we're meant to be evolving through literally abundance, through prosperity, because what we have within us is the whole intelligence of not just our planet, not just our solar system, of the entire universe. Like, we're all made of stardust. We're literally made of stardust. There are things within us that were not created on planet Earth. And this baffles scientists, because everyone's like, well, hang on a minute, my mum and dad made me. So where do you get these certain things in you that aren't made on Earth? They're literally made of stardust. So this is where we really start to open up to realize that we're only going to be on this planet for a short time period. So while we're here, we don't want to waste a breath. We don't want to waste a heartbeat. We want to definitely discover the best parts of ourselves. And this is what I've learned how to do. So for me, as I learned to regenerate, rebuild this body, I learned how to stand again, walk again, run again, jump again. I learned how to be completely free within the body, which everyone around me said was completely impossible. And without any fear, I ended up going back to gymnastics. But I have to find myself a world-class coach, because the guy who was my coach when I broke my back was a good coach. But I didn't want to go to the gym and get good results. The reason why I was going to the gym was to become a champion. And that was my focus. And I find this guy from Bulgaria, Svetozar Deliaskov, 2-time world champion. I start training with him. Within 18 months of training with him, I'm now stood on the podium, and they give me the gold medal for the English Sports Acrobatics Championships. So I had a direct experience of something that shook me up, because the second they put that gold medal over my head, I'm thinking, hang on a minute. If I believe these so-called experts, I'd still be a victim in a machine just moving like this, just keeping the circulation going up and down the body. And I went back to tell these people what had happened. They weren't interested. They weren't interested because people don't like change. So then some people said to me, well, how did you do it? How did you go from being told you're never going to stand or walk again to being a champion where you're completely free in the body? So now imagine this. Over 25 years ago, I started talking about energy, frequencies, and vibrations. How do you think people received that? They said, you know what, Skip's got a great story, but this dude's off with the freaking fairies. So I learned that real quick. So I stopped speaking because I didn't want people to think I was a freak. Now, here was the super cool thing, Roy. I knew nothing about business. I'd gone through no business training. I'd studied nothing in business. I knew nothing about business. But because I knew about energy, frequencies, and vibrations, which is essentially what we're made of, when we get down to the most fundamental essence of what all life is and where all life gets created from, it's energy. So we got to learn this more than anything else on the planet. It's the most important thing for anyone to learn, because when you learn this, you can make miracles happen. Literally, miracles can happen. And so for me, what happened was I go into the business world. Year one, now you've got to remember this is 25 years ago. Year one, we did over £1 million. That's a lot of money today still.
Yeah.
Back then, everyone was freaking out. Even I'm freaking out, going like, what? How? Now, here's what we never need to know. We don't need to know the hows. I didn't know the how before I did it. Why did it happen? Because I understood energy, frequencies, and vibrations. And when you're in alignment with that truth, the truth is what is going to set everyone free. The challenge is most people haven't got truth getting into their mind. Most people haven't even got truth getting into their body. That's why their bodies are breaking down now, because they're eating dead stuff. They're eating processed stuff. They're eating for emotional reasons or traditional reasons. No one's eating for nutritional reasons. Look at all the traditions out there that are breaking people down. So there has to be a major, major change in the way that we look at life. And that's what I love doing, because when we then took this philosophy in the business world and we just started to do stuff that no one around us was doing. And what then happened was I got asked about just over 10 years ago to go and do a talk. And I was like, no, I don't do that stuff. I said, I tried that a long time ago. And I said, I'm just going to be honest. When people hear my story, they think I'm a freak. So there's no point me even sharing the story. They're not ready to listen to the truth. They're just not ready for it. And this person was like, Skip, these are conscious people. They need it. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not your guy. Seriously, you're not. I said, no amount of money is going to get me to do it. I said, I've already cracked the money game. I said, I don't need the money. And this person didn't give up. And it was like, Skip, you're not serving people unless you go and share this truth. There's a reason why I keep hounding you. They need this truth. And ironically, I got off stage yesterday. It blew my mind. There was a gentleman there and he won one of the awards last night, and no one was giving speeches because they're there to get through a lot. And he went, I have to share something. So they give him the money to share something. He went, you, and he's pointing to me. I'm like, hello. And he went, I'm walking again because of you. I said, we've never met. And he went, I know. He said, I broke my back. I got told I was never going to walk again. Stephen told me about you, and I started reading up on all your stuff. I started following you. I started putting into practice the stuff that you're teaching. And he went, my whole belief system, that energy, everything was different. And he goes, look at me, I'm walking. He said, no one said this was going to be possible. So what I love about this now is when you're able to influence somebody and you're not even there, we call this like the seventh power. And what it allows is a power is rippling out. Now you think about when we drop a stone in water, those ripples keep going. And this is what I want people to understand, that whatever you're putting out there into the world, you're getting back tenfold. So if you're putting the problems out there, if you're putting anger, frustration, resentment, jealousy, any of that low vibe stuff, that's what you're literally feeding yourself on. So what we've learned is so many people are being programmed with stuff that isn't true. And what's people's primary questions? I'm not good enough and I'm not loved. What if this doesn't work? All of this voice, if it's going around and around and around, at some point it's going to get you. And so what I've learned is how to take people into what I call this supercharged frequency. Here's the awesome thing. It's like giving people the cosmic Wi-Fi code. Now, so what's one of the first things, like when you go around people's houses or you go around someone's business or you're in the boardroom, what's the first thing you ask for now?
Wi-Fi.
Why? Because we want to get connected.
Yeah.
So imagine now life without Wi-Fi. I can't even get my head around that now, because we're literally connected to this stuff all the time. Now we're connected to a greater source of intelligence, and we can call it source energy, we can call it God, we can call it universal intelligence. The name doesn't matter. There's an intelligence that created our eyes. There's an intelligence that created our ears, our nose, our mouth, our bones, our muscles, the systems, the nervous system, the digestive system. There's this intelligence that's created all of this because it's keeping our heart beating. It keeps us breathing. We don't have to think about any of this stuff. So this ecosystem is working by itself. But now what we've noticed, because things are out of balance and out of alignment, people's lives are becoming a train wreck, and they're having these toxic buildups, and life is being ripped away from them. So what I've learned is how to get people into a supercharged frequency. And here's what happens. Whatever frequency anyone is in throughout the 24 hours a day that we live, whatever frequency they're in, when they make a decision, because everybody's life is exactly where it is because of the decisions that they've made. And everyone thinks, oh, just change your decisions. That has nothing to do with the results. The thing that we need to learn how to change is our frequency. Because otherwise, you're going to be trying to run away from the problem, escape the problem. But because of the frequency that the person's in, they're going to keep receiving the same stuff. So here's what we've learned how to teach. How to get people in these high frequencies. And when they set an intention, and it could be like, what's my destiny? Or what do I need to do to meet the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life? Or what do I need to do to create this? Or whatever the question or the intention is, we get them clear on that. They go into these supercharged frequencies, and then bam, the download comes straight to them. And when they get it themselves, no one can take that away. Now, what does that do? It pulls us into our destiny instead of feeling like we're trying to push water uphill, which you're never going to win that battle ever. So it's such a joy to be able to see people really take control of their lives, because everybody is here for a reason, and everyone's got in them what I've got in me, what you've got in you. But how we choose to use the body, the mind, and the spirit is up to each individual. But here's what has to happen. A lot of people's minds are pulling them in one direction. Their body might pull them in another direction. Spirit might be dead for most people, for adults. So what happens is they feel like they're being pulled apart. What we've learned how to do is how to bring these three engines together, have them work as one. And when there's that clarity, and all they've got to do is get in the frequency and receive the download. And it's no different than, in fact, it's easier than learning how to read. It's easier than learning a mathematical equation. Why? Because kids are already doing this stuff. So when we can reclaim what we once had, and we can go through almost like debugging ourselves from all that stuff that's been holding us back. It's like putting a ball and chain around the ankle, but we've learned how to cut that off from people. And when they're free of that, and then they can get focused and they're in this supercharged frequency, literally miracles start being born through people. And it's super, super cool. It's super fun. And we're bringing it to Poland. So I'm super excited about that.
Brilliant. And with the situation that you went through at a very young age, my experience from seeing people, sometimes it's the trauma, whether it's bankruptcy or an illness or something like that, that it's kind of like you've realized that life is different. And I've seen so many people going through that transformation that you've just been talking about. And once you make it, you don't go back. It's not a case of you kind of step out and you kind of see everything as it is and you kind of understand it. You don't just kind of, and next year, no, that's not working. It's like once you get it, and you must be like like you mentioned that when you didn't want to be talking about this because they thought you were nuts, but like you must see in the last 10 years or more that no, there's so much more people that are actually getting this.
Oh, and it's the best thing to get. Like, it's seriously, like, I have like super high level clients, and like one of them was just literally just told me last night, blew my mind. Has a £450,000 Lambo delivered, and they're making a spectacular of this. You know, they bring it in a special lorry, special. You know, it's a presentation. It's like the unveiling of it. But because he wasn't balanced in the line, this was the response. Oh God, my blue Lambo's here. You know what, guys? Just put it in the garage. I'm in bed. Like, it's like, where the hell does the pizzazz of life, how does it end up there? Now, the only reason, out of balance, out of alignment. So when we discover these things within us, oh my God, there's so much magic to the game of life. There's so much beauty to the game of life, and it's going to be over soon. And when we start to really discover these things within ourselves, what it does is it changes the way that we look at life. And when we change the way we look at things, the things we start looking at actually change. And it's really understanding that if people don't understand frequencies and now they think I'm still a freak, that's okay that they can think that, but they're going to stop themselves from learning the very thing that they would need to be able to literally have miracles born through them. Like, it was amazing. Like, last night, there was I think it was about 300 people at this award ceremony. And I asked people, and I said, right, how many believe in miracles? And what was amazing was, before, when I asked that question, few hands in the audience would go up. And every year I'm seeing more and more and more going up, because we're starting to discover this truth within ourselves. And the chapter that we're going through as a human race this is literally the awakening chapter. This has been written, by the way, for hundreds of thousands of years. Because think about this, if you're the universe in physical form, you know where we're at. There's a part of you that knows where we're at. We're just experiencing the physical reality. It's just like playing a video game. You're going to be on the game. Oh God, next game. And it's kind of like that with living in a physical reality. It's going to be over before we know it. The challenge is, what do you want every breath to feel like? What do you want every heartbeat to feel like? Where do you want to put your focus? Where do you want to put your time and attention into stuff? Is it going to be stuff that creates a better world? Is it going to be stuff that destroys stuff? Is it going to be stuff that you're holding on to from the past? There are people doing all of what I've just said, but only one of them is going to give freedom. So this is why we've got to understand that we've got so much of this negative programming going on. And if we don't debug ourselves from all that programming, that stays there and it stays in the subconscious. And I've seen so many incredible people just beat themselves up because they're not understanding that we're receiving billions of pieces of information every second. And as we receive something again and again and again and again and again, and there's a repetition there, that's going to drop down. What we've learned is, like, a lot of the traditional therapy and NLP and hypnotherapy and all this says it takes 21 days to reform a habit. It does if you're dealing with just the mind. When we deal with the mind, the body, and the spirit, we can make a decision in a heartbeat and it's done. Literally done. Why? Because now there's balance and alignment, and that decision would be an empowering decision that will take you higher than what that limiting belief was, what that self-sabotaging mechanism was, what that negative habit was. And all of a sudden you're at a place where you're like, hang on a minute, this is feeling freaking good. I like this. And we can have that in the dips. So what I've learned is that sometimes people go in the dip, and if they get supercharged, they can literally bounce out of the dip up to a high level. Certain people have mastered certain things, but what they're now looking for is just what's going to give them that little edge, what's going to give them that little bit of something that's going to turn them into like a Usain Bolt. And there's a formula to it. But here's what I've learned. All the absolute freaking legends around the world, they'd all tapped into their human spirit. That was the ingredient that they all reclaimed. And when we start to really understand, right, let's just make it simple. Come on, what can I give my mind? What can I give my body? What can I give my spirit? How do I get my mind and my body in a high frequency so that my spirit is super, super alive? Well, we've worked out a 3-day process that can allow people to do that with a lot of fun. And this is what I want to say about learning. The traditional ways that we're taught how to learn, it's boring, it's repetitive, and it's kind of mind numbing, to be honest. So there's new ways to be able to teach people where we can put stuff onto people's radars or into their awareness in ways where we're just absorbing life exactly the same way how kids are. Like, kids are learning so fast. How come? They just haven't got that mind spinning out of control. There's not a lot of noise up there. So when we can get rid of that noise, and then we start teaching people how to look at areas of their lives, and we start, right, go into this area, get the download, and then people start making these commitments to what's going to create their destiny, to what's going to have them literally build their dream life. And there's a science to it, and there's a creative side to it as well. And we've got to honor both. And when we do that, we literally wake up with the health, the wealth, the happiness for every chapter of life. And everyone's creating their realities. And what we want to understand is that when we are balanced and aligned, the best reality is yet to be created. That's what I truly believe.
Beautiful, beautiful. And like, your mindset when you started to go back to gymnastics, because there's a lot of people say they fall off a horse. They've had something that's happened to them. They've had a bankruptcy, and they just never do it again. Like, for you to do that, I mean, did you actually realize at that stage, or was it the journey that you took because you had that fear? Like, did that kick in at all, or did you just no fear at all the first time you actually went back in?
No, because we're dealing with stuff in the physical reality. So my nervous system was shaken up. So I had to keep working through the fear. It wasn't like I made a decision and it was a beautiful, clear road. No. It's never a beautiful, clear road. And if it is, turn the corner and there you see the pit holes and the pitfalls. Everyone's got to understand this. The game of life on planet Earth was set up as a planet of contrast. We're meant to have the contrast. We're meant to have the love and the hate, the up and the down, the black and the white, for every, reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's duality. That's this reality. So let me try and explain it this way. When you're told by expert after expert that you're never going to stand or walk again, and by the way, I did not believe him. I was like, screw you telling me that. I was like, get out. I want someone who's going to come in and tell me what's really going to happen. And they just came in one at a time. Listen, we've seen this injury. People don't heal from this. And bit by bit, and everyone needs to understand this, energy wins every time. Energy wins every time. And their energy won. So when I then was able to get out of the mind and out of the body and connect to this spirit, this energy, this force, this intelligence, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, when, I don't want to sound too weird here, but life, we're meant to have this intuition, this inner guidance. That's our gut feeling. So one of the things that Bruce Lee taught me, don't think, feel. Our feelings are real. Most thinking is now limited. So a lot of people have these limiting beliefs and they don't believe in what is truly possible. So when you get to that point where this inner guidance started to become frequent and it started to happen on a consistent basis, and I started to trust it. It took time because to begin with, I'm like, is this me? Am I making this up? Am I imagining all this? Or is there some intelligence coming in from somewhere else? And either or, it was giving me stuff that made me feel good. And I hadn't felt that for a long time. So for me, those feelings were just heaven sent. Now, when I then get this inner guidance that you're going to stand, And I end up finding myself standing, which didn't make any sense. And then this inner guidance says, listen, I didn't say you were going to stand. I said you were going to walk, because they wanted to get me back in the machine. And when I took those steps, my mum had fallen down, she was crying. I had tears falling down my face. And I remember just looking at her, I was like, Mum, I walked. I was like, I'm never going back in that machine ever again. Because that came from inner guidance, when I got asked the question, when I'd rebuilt the body and had the whole thing regenerate, and that's when Mum asked me, she says, my God, we've all just witnessed a miracle. You're free again. We don't have to look after you. What do you want to do with your life? So I asked myself this one question: what do I love? And only one thing popped up for me. And what was that? Gymnastics. So I don't even say anything, right? Because I'm now worried about what my mum's going to say. So I say nothing, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I'm like, seriously? So there's this internal dialogue, and I say nothing. Mum looks at me and she's like, you better not be thinking what I think you're thinking. And I'm like, what do you think I'm thinking? She goes, I know what you're thinking. I said, Mum, I've got to do it. She's like, why? I said, because that's what I'm guided to do. And if I don't start listening to this inner guidance, I said, you don't understand this. I was meant to break my back. That wasn't a mistake. I understand how this thing works now. Not because I learned something physically, because I learned something spiritually, non-physically. And I said, it opened me up to a force. Like, you think about the force of the sun. You think about the force of this planet. But then see if you can get your head around this. People think that there's the planet, the sun. Here's the sun. Our planet and the moon is going around the sun. That's what we got taught. It doesn't work like that. The energy, the vortex around this that keeps them spinning, those planets are literally moving at 70,000 kilometers an hour. Like, we're moving at 70,000 kilometers an hour right now, and we can't feel nothing, right? So there are certain forces out there, ecosystems that have, with intelligence, that have set things up so that we get to experience the game of life, and it's a game. But we get stuck in the head and we take things too serious, and we pin emotions on things, meanings on things that are super heavy. How do I know this? Because I was the biggest programmer of negativity. I was so out of balance mentally and emotionally, physically as well, until I went back to gymnastics. And here's what I've learned. If we don't learn how to find this inner wisdom, if we don't learn how to bring the body, the mind, and the spirit together to work as one engine, we suffer in the game of life at such a hardcore level. Because so we're talking about systems. A lot of the big systems around the world, the education system, I think it's broken. Like, let me ask you this question. Absolutely. Did what you learned at school, has it made you happy, healthy, and wealthy?
I'm exposing that on the Awakening, and I put my child into a system that's copying the Finnish system for education. And I don't think we attack it, because we create an alternative is how we do it.
Yeah. So I think the government systems are broken, because I think the pharmaceuticals are now controlling the government, because Absolutely. Through COVID, I don't believe that any government around the world said stuff to their people that boosted up the people's immune system, made them happier, made them healthier and wealthier. It was all fear-based stuff across the board, and all the media channels, all the messages that were going out, oh yeah, but we need to protect ourselves and all this. And it's a conversation that, in my opinion, I think it's a joke.
It was all orchestrated, because they were doing the so-called PCR test in 2017-18, which means it was orchestrated, and they're telling people they've got it. We've got documents from Ireland, England, a lot of countries stating that you cannot isolate it, which means every single of these tests do not work, but yet people are listening to the news and, as you mentioned, the fair, and they think, but I just, I look at it as it is what it is. I never let it hurt me. I never let watching these things. It's good to know so that you make the right decisions, but I don't let it come in. And I think what you're doing as well with what you're teaching people, it's kind of, I think, making you bulletproof, because you don't get fooled. Your eyes open up and you understand how everything should be working.
Absolutely. So to expand that, our world is becoming more toxic because of humans. Not everyone, but there are certain people who are in charge of certain systems. And I think that when you look at humanity, they're under attack all the time. We now know that third leading cause of death on planet Earth is the correctly prescribed medication. I didn't say wrongly prescribed. Third leading cause of death. This is insane. Medication is meant to help people, but what we know is now laid up with side effects. And those side effects are taking over the good stuff that people are meant to be getting from medication. I think medication can build a bridge to help a certain gap. But ultimately, the cells don't need medication. The trillions of cells that make up our physical body, they only need three things: nutrients, oxygen, water, that's it, and a way to eliminate the waste. Do that, oh my God, you're in a different body. Like a year from now, like it happened with my mum, where my mum was getting bigger and bigger. She was going blind. She couldn't walk from one side of the room to the other without being in serious pain. Diabetes, high cholesterol, low blood pressure, cupboard full of prescription drugs. And imagine this, I'm going around the world and I'm helping tens of thousands of people every single year, like a ninja, like a stealth. I didn't want to be known anywhere. And I just wanted to rock up on people's stages, do my thing, and then leave. And I'm going home to visit my parents, and I'm seeing my mum getting bigger and bigger, and she's just breaking down. Cut a long story short, I get mum to one of my events. She loses 28 pounds like that. In fact, people who come to Supercharge Live, I'm going to be introducing my mum at that event because she's coming up to 80 years old. And when we were just out in Costa Rica, I get this message the day after the event: hey, I'm going flying. Do you want to come watch me? This woman has never done like adventures in her life. And like all of a sudden she's got this new energy. And as I said before, energy wins every time. But do we want heart energy to win or head energy to win? Because the head always talks us out of doing what's needed. The head always keeps us trapped in our comfort zone. The head keeps us safe. But that safety is life killing or soul killing or spirit killing, whatever you want to call it. So like with my mum, it was like, I was like, and I filmed this thing. I was like, who would have thought this like years and years ago? She said, I would not have even thought this like minutes ago. She said, I was just coming out here to watch everyone, but something in me said, you should go and do this. Go on, go and do it. And she's like, all right, I will. I'll listen to that. And when we start to listen to that inner guidance, it can allow us to get a flow through life so that when the barriers come up, bam, we're just like knocking through them with a force so that nothing can stop us from creating our destinies. Nothing can stop us from manifesting our dreams. And this is the difference between someone who takes action, someone who's fully present, someone who wants the most out of life, to somebody else who just doesn't. And it's all happening around the world at the moment. There are some people beating themselves up, some people knocking themselves down, and there are other people doing the opposite, winning and loving life and creating some of the most incredible things. So the beautiful thing is we can learn new things at any stage if we have an interest. So in the mind, our creator gave us something called neuroplasticity. If somebody has an interest in wanting to learn something new, here's what we've learned. That is there even in 90-year-olds. And as soon as you have an interest to learn something to make your life better, we're actually keeping ourselves younger because we're becoming more active. So there's healthy activity in the mind instead of it being stress and now releasing cortisol, which is the stress hormone. All of a sudden, we start being in balance with life. We feel better in the body. If we want, we can start manifesting more money. And the super cool thing about what we're now teaching people is we're laying the health as a foundation. We start building their wealth, but they're happy in the process. Doesn't mean they're not going to be challenged. You know, everyone's going to get challenged, but what it means is that when we get challenged and we start to learn how to be supercharged, we're able to bounce back faster, stronger, wiser, more intelligent because of what we've learned. And at Supercharge Life, as I said, in those 3 days, I believe it would take people years and years and years to be able to get evolved in those ways if they try to figure it out themselves. Because when I look back, how long it took me to figure out why, when I was broken down physically, what did I actually do to get back up? How can I teach this to people? Happened financially. There's been time, like recently, I just got ripped off $400,000 from 2 business partners. And I'm actually making a 5-part documentary series at the moment, actually, with about 22 of our planet's top gurus in it. We've got everyone from Wim Hof, Forbes Riley, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, John DeMartini, like a whole like star-studded lineup. And everyone's sharing their wisdom in it. And what we're learning is that everybody is exactly where they are because of the decisions that they're making. So my question that I invite people to ask themselves now is, what's a decision that can be made maybe today that's going to take their life up to the next level and beyond? Because if we don't focus on making these life-changing decisions, guess what we do? We make the decisions that come from the subconscious part of the brain. So instead of being conscious, we're being unconscious in what we're bringing into the now, because we're just playing out the program. And we see this happen in most people. And when you understand people live with patterns, life is built around patterns, and you can start to see someone's pattern, this is how you can almost be one step ahead of the game when you're truly present in the moment. And that's what I love teaching people, because what I truly believe that our world needs is more leaders and not followers. There's a whole new world coming in to this game of life. And the only wave that you can catch that's going to help you to win is that consciousness wave. Because if you're catching it and you're on it, you're on the new world. This is where you can start to manifest things faster. You can pull things into this reality way faster than at any other time in human history. The abundance and prosperity that we can live with now is out of this world crazy. Never before have this amount of people had the opportunity to literally create a life of miracles. So when we start to do it and we start to apply all that good stuff, guess what? That becomes our experience in life. And then we start to let go of all the victim stuff. We start to want to wake up the next day. It's not, oh my God, when I get to wake up tomorrow, I did get to go and do this, I get to do this. And all of a sudden we start playing the game of life instead of being victims. So yeah, it's all down to our decisions. And what I've learned is we've got to, and it takes time to learn this, but we've got to stop listening to the mind. I know it sounds so crazy because the mind has been programmed. It's like, what feels right to you? You know, what would the perfect day look like to you? If you were going to have the best day ever tomorrow, what would that look like? And when people start experiencing, oh my God, I just did this, then here's what happens. They start getting hungrier for more life. Because if we're not hungry for change, guess what? It's never going to happen. Whereas when we get hungrier and hungrier and hungrier, all of a sudden life starts giving us more. And we start to discover how powerful, how beautiful, how intelligent, how wise we truly are. So yeah, it's what I'll be spending the rest of my life doing. Like now I've taught people all around the world how to manifest millions, how to get to, in fact, at Supercharge Life, we give people a formula of from 0 to £100,000 in 17 months. And anyone can do this. That's the beautiful thing. Literally anyone can do it. So yeah, I think that what I want to share with people now, it's bringing it back to you as the individual who's listening to this or watching this. It's what would really have you stay up late? What would have you get up early? What would have you literally being passionate about something? Because nothing is going to electrify us like passion. When we get passionate about stuff, we got this electricity, we got this vibe pulsing through us that just electrifies us. The challenge is our education system doesn't teach us about passion. Our governments don't teach us about passion. So a lot of this natural stuff is being booted out of us. So in 3 days, we basically pull all that stuff back into people's reality and they start remembering what the truth is. Because here's the sad thing at the moment. So many people have forgotten it. And when we forget it, we don't use it. And if we don't use it, we lose it. So there's so much of these people going on this downward spiral. And I used to be constantly on that downward spiral. And what I've learned now is that as I go in these dips, boom, I bounce up just super, super quick. So everybody's going to go through the dip. The challenge is, are you going to get supercharged so you can bounce up, or are you going to hit that dip and boom, you're stuck there? And all of a sudden,
the thing with that is, because you mentioned we do get hit with curveballs, but what I've learned is we can have two thought processes in our head, and as soon as you realize you're in something's negative or whatever, you just change it to something's positive. Yeah. You're no longer there. You've moved. You've shifted.
And how fast does that happen?
In a split second.
Literally in a heartbeat. And that's the awesome thing. Literally one breath can change our reality. One heartbeat can change our reality. So there's techniques and tools that, you know, we share with people so that they've got tangible stuff so they can start doing this on a regular basis. Because the challenge is, so many people think, oh, I'm just going to do the right thing every now and again. That's like deciding I'm going to go and work out every now and again. The standards are so low, you're never going to be able to reap the benefits of decisions like that. Whereas when we start to raise our standards up and we say, right, now I'm hungry for more, I want more. And it's like, come on, life, feed us. We literally start to get people downloading all this stuff and their whole personal realities change. And what does that then do? It changes their their personalities. What does that then do? It makes them nicer to be around. People want to be around them. People start inviting them to other places. People start getting good at what they're doing. They start loving more of what they're doing, because the more you get good at it, the more your confidence goes up, then the more your competence goes up. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, a year ago, I was in a bad place. Now I'm in the most incredible place. So, and I love this saying, people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So if we have a plan and we say, right, I now need to go somewhere, I need to go and get an immersion somewhere or get away from stuff so I can decide, right, what do I want in my life? Because until someone is clear, nothing's going to change. And clarity is power. So what we must bring in is, right, what's my destiny going to look like? Who do I have to become to manifest this stuff? And it's, how can I say this? Like, I'll use one gentleman as an example. So I'll use a movie star client of mine because I want people to understand how powerful this stuff is. He comes to me when he'd lost everything. He was blacklisted from Game of Thrones. No one would hire him. He was beating people up on set and off set. He was basically a gangster on screen and a gangster off screen. And his wife had left him. Kids didn't want to speak to him. He was overweight, mentally screwed up to the max. I start working with him. So first of all, he comes to Supercharge Life. So he comes to a 3-day event so he can understand that he's in a frequency where every time he goes in that frequency, he's going to self-sabotage like crazy. And anyone who's around him was going to get pulled into that whirlwind. So he was always being locked up. You know, the guy was a car wreck. And that first year, he goes from zero, he's in debt. You know, the guy's literally in debt. And he does 4 million that year. Second year, he's now living in a £4 million house. Third year, he goes and wins Legend in Cinema at the British Independent Film Festival. Now, some people are going, oh, it's right for him. He's a movie star. Well, we had this gentleman come to the event and total regular guy. He could barely afford to come to Supercharge Life. And I teach him one technique, but he goes in the Supercharge frequency. And while he's there, he's like, right, I need stuff around money. I've got to sort my money out. So he gets the exact download that he's meant to get. And he puts that in action straight away, because when it comes to a point where we have to make a decision, people just have to ask themselves this question: is this decision going to empower me or not? If it's not going to empower me, don't do it. If it's going to empower you, do it. Even if it pisses people around you off, do it. Because you never want to sacrifice your power, ever. We want to bring in more of it. So when we make a decision, that's going to decide our life's going to go in a certain direction. Now, there's two types of decisions. One is what I call inspired action. It's where all the flow is, all the magic. It's like something comes into the awareness, we're inspired, and bam, we're taking action immediately. Just look how much kids are moving all the time. The energy's moving them. They're not having to be motivated to do it. They don't have to be inspired to do it. It happens. So the second one is what I call uncomfortable action. This is where that inspired action, that portal is starting to close up, because you've got a certain time period to go and take it. Otherwise, it's gone. You can't get it back. You might, I'll do it tomorrow. No, it'll be different tomorrow. It's not the same. If it's on your radar now, here's what all winners do. Like around our table, there must have been, the net worth around that table must have been $1 billion like last night, easy. And I was just watching everyone, and I'm like, they're all freaking hardcore action takers. Like I was looking at stuff, and the second anything was on any of our radios, bam, we took that attack immediately. Why? Because as that portal's closing up, imagine that this is something physical and you go and dive through it and it's amazing. And on the other side is opportunities, prosperity, abundance, all this stuff. But it starts closing up. And you're like, oh, shoot. I must go through it. And now you're trying to have to squeeze yourself through it. So now it's uncomfortable. You still get there, but the journey was uncomfortable. What we want to do is get the journey and the destination married with harmony, with balance, with alignment, because then that way we can listen to our intuition. Because if that portal closes up and you're trying to get through it, it's just going to be awkward. Whereas the second we make that decision, we're allowing things to flow. We're allowing movement to happen in the best ways. And some of my fastest decisions that I've made have been the most powerful ones, because there's zero resistance from the mind. It's like, is this going to empower me? Yep, right, I'm in. Is this great for me? Yeah, I'm in. It's going to teach me something I can give back to people. Yeah, I'm in. So it's really understanding that when we can decide to really make decisions and really own those decisions, then we get better and better. And it's like the more decisions we make, the better we get at them. What you see with people who are stuck takes them forever to make a decision, because they're stuck in their mind, stuck in the physical reality, stuck in their decision-making, and they're stuck in life. Whereas if we just say, right, you know what, screw this. Next time something comes on my radar, next time something's going to come up that's going to allow me to grow and expand, I'm going to jump in feet first. I'm going to jump in head first. I'm just going to jump in there with everything I've got. Those are the people that start winning in the game of life. And it's like a kid jumping in a puddle. They don't step, they go jump in the whole thing. Why? Because they want to get the full experience. And that's what we want in life. We want the full experience of life, not life where we're just stuck in the mind. So, yeah, I'm super stoked about bringing this stuff to Poland, because when we was over there before, I said like 80-90% of the people in the audience have got these headphones on and they're just not hearing the spoken word in English, but they get the energy, they get the whole messaging, and they get the transformations. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming back over there. I think it's going to be amazing.
Excellent. And just for those, because I mean, I've got listeners all over the world, it's actually, they can go online as well. So people can sign up and actually be able to, and you know, they're going to learn, obviously, to be there in present field. The energy is a lot better, but if you can't, it's still an option that you learn the techniques for this.
Absolutely. You know, lockdown forced us to run all the events virtually. And this is where I learned even a lot more around energy. Energy isn't bounded by any time-space reality. And this is what the quantum field, where quantum science comes in. We're now discovering science in ways that doesn't make any logical sense to the mind. So when we start to understand energy, and we just got to say, right, do I have a chop? Because here's what I want to say. We can get love back. You know, we're going to lose things in life and drop things, but it's what do we want to hold on to on a consistent basis? So we can get love back. We can get health back. We can get opportunities back. We can get money back. The only thing that we can't get back is time. So when I make my decisions, I'm like, right, do I have to go and do this right now? Or if this is like, if I got a chance to register for something that's in a month, 2 months, 3 months, wherever, and I'm like, right, can I get this squeezed in my diary? I'm doing this. And even if I can't figure it out right now, life's going to help me to figure it out. Because if I want to grow and expand through this thing, I have to be there. Now, the beautiful thing about doing it virtually is we've been able to reach more people with these teachings now because they don't have to come to the live events. They can literally put it on the biggest screen in their living room or wherever, and we bring that production into their house. And what it does is it puts the most incredible energy in their house. They still get to go through all the teachings. They get to go through the transformations. They get to go through all the processes. And as a result, what? They start to take their life up to the next level and beyond. And they understand what's needed to be able to create a life of miracles. Because a life without miracles, I can tell you now, it's a lonely life. It's a life that sucks. It's a life that, I mean, literally imagine it, a life without miracles. I wouldn't want to wake up to that life. So we just plug people back into that truth. And it really is in that truth where they find their ultimate freedom. And that's, I think, it's one of the best gifts to be able to give back to people.
Beautiful. Listen, Skip, thoroughly enjoyed listening to you. I love what you're doing. I actually get it. My own journey took me a lot longer, took me years, but I everything you've said, totally agree with what you're saying. So how can people, one, find the event, and two, find more about you as well?
Awesome. So if they go to skiparchimedes.com.pl, they can register for the live one in Poland. If they go to bit.ly/get_supercharged, then they can register there for the online version. So if they want to go and watch it live in Poland, it's skiparchimedes.com/pl. And if they want to do it virtually online, it's bit.ly. I can put it in the chat for you if you want. bit.ly/get. So bit.ly/get_supercharged. Yeah, there you go. So I'll just put that in the chat. So that's if they want to do it virtually. And here's what I want to say. If you've resonated with anything here, come to the event, because if there's something resonating within you, you still need to understand this. All I've been able to share here is really some information that isn't transformation. I've expressed a few things that's possible, from me being a walking, living, breathing example that this stuff works. And someone who's going to be 50 soon, I've got more energy now, more love now, more passion now, more immunity now, more money now, more loving relationships now than I've ever had in my entire life, ever. And it never used to be that. It used to be the complete opposite of that. And the thing that I'll be doing for the rest of my life now, I reckon, is teaching people how to do this. So the reason why I said, right, we can't get time back is I make a decision like this. If I put it off, am I going to change? And if the answer is no, then I have to go and commit to something. And usually for me, I end up doing this stuff where I end up getting less sleep because I make commitment on top of commitment on top of commitment. But here's what it does. We build the muscle. It's not just like building a physical muscle, but we've got to build emotional muscle. We've got to build money muscle. We've got to build relationship muscle. There's all these muscles that we've got to build. And if we don't use ourselves in the right way, then we get deactivated, and then we go into a low frequency and we start telling ourselves a lie. Whereas we get into the supercharged frequency and then we start receiving the truth. And the truth is so powerful. The truth is so freeing. But they're now saying that the average adult lies about once every 10 minutes, not because they're a bad person, because they've been programmed with stuff that simply isn't the truth. So a lot of the stuff that we believe in comes from stuff that we learned when we were children, and that's out of date. Just like you get an app that's out of date, the challenge is most humans are out of date. So we've got to upgrade them to the next level. And as I said, at Supercharged Life, we found super fun ways how to do this, where it's a fun 3-day journey. People have a lot of fun, but more importantly, it's what happens to them and their lives as a result of attending Supercharged Life. And I truly believe if they come and play full out, it'll be one of the biggest game changers they've ever experienced. Now, here's what I want to say, Roy. This is how confident I am in Supercharged Life. If people want to come, I'll allow them to attend all 3 days. And if it wasn't a life-changing event for them and they play full out and they attend all 3 days, I'll give them their money back. There isn't a speaker around the world that will give them Not that they might allow you to attend 1 day or 2 days.
Yeah, it's usually
not
one
do
day.
the whole
Yeah.
event.
And then you have to kind of, no, exactly. And I see
So
that on your website. So I know that, yeah, that's something that you're offering. And to be honest with you, that proves that people actually are getting so much out of it because, you know, obviously all the time, all the commitment, all the costs of organizing such a massive event, it means that people don't be taking that. They're actually so happy with the change that they've made in their life.
and that's ultimately where we're taking them. It's to transform. It's to make life better than what it is now. And we've just learned how to do that. And I didn't learn my stuff from events or books or stuff like that. I learned it from direct experience. And I'm grateful for it. I'm super grateful that I've been ripped off, 400K by partners, because it really made me focus. And it was like, right, what the hell's the lesson around this? And I got the lesson. And it was like, okay, so I know you don't want to take money away from me because I'm created from abundance. I want to bring some of that money back. And here's what I want to say. It came back way more like that. Like the deals that we're doing, we did a 7-figure deal a couple of weeks ago, and the deal was offered to me. There was no effort in this. There was no struggle in this. It was literally just watching a flower, in time lapse open up. And that's how it should be for everyone, because if I can learn this stuff and apply it and get the benefits from it, someone who had no money when I was growing up, my family had no money. It was tough. It wasn't easy. But now I look at my life and I'm like, I have an absolute life of freedom, because it was designed that way. And that's what I want to be able to teach everyone. And by the way, freedom doesn't mean doing nothing. Freedom means doing what you absolutely love all the freaking time. And that's the world that we want to create, stuff where we've created things through love and through wanting to make life better. And when we do that, life uses us in the most beautiful ways. So yeah, if they want to come, it's skiparchimedes.com/PL if they want to come to Poland to watch it live, or if they want to do it online, bit.ly/get supercharged. And as I said, there's a full money back guarantee. Why? Because it works. That's it. You can come up with, and by the way, there's other bonuses that we've got on there as well. In fact, one of the bonuses is they can actually bring somebody else to the event as well. Now, why am I doing that as an offer? Because what I shared about my mum, if I didn't share this with my mum and give it to my mum, guess what? She'd be dead. I wouldn't be able to create any more magical moments with her. Because she decided to take back control, I now get to spend at least another 20 years with her. At least, because she's got it. And this is what we're learning, that there is a new way of living. There's a way that we can update ourselves, just like we update stuff on here. And that's kind of what Supercharge is all about. It's really getting updated into being the best version of who we're meant to be and playing out the game of life. And it is a game. And we just got to make sure that we get good at playing it. And that's what can happen at Supercharge Life. If they come, they're going to get really good at playing the game of life, where they start winning better, not where somebody loses because they won. They start playing better. They start succeeding better. They start feeling more fulfilled and more loving, and they just become nicer to be around. And as a result of that, they'll start to look and feel better as well. So there's literally
one thing about that as well is because people have made a decision to kind of improve themselves to make that shift. You're surrounded with people that are doing the same. And I've been to events that are and I have friendships, really amazing friendships based on that. So you could find, the love of your life or a friendship, as well as you say, it's all from within. So once you make the change, everybody around you feels it, but you'll be surrounded by that.
Exactly. And it is, being in that community, being in that environment, it just feeds you in the most incredible ways. And that's what we found around the energy, where even though we didn't have all those people in the same room, the energy was still there and everybody still felt it. And I was like, right, tell me what's going on. Because to begin with, I'm like, oh God, I just really don't know if this is going to work. And people started giving us the feedback, and I'm looking at the chats flying up on the screens, and I'm like, are you guys seeing this? This is freaking amazing. And it works. So the event's going to be happening September 23, 24, 25. I just want people to ask themselves this question. Do you want to wake up Monday, the 25th, 23, 24, no, 26th, the same person as you are now, or do you want to be waking up that day as a new, improved version of yourself? Because if you come to the event, what's going to happen is you're going to be new and improved. And that's what happens. We get things upgraded. And yes, whoever's watching this, listening to this now, I really hope that I get to serve you properly at that event by taking you through process after process, by going through 3 days where all the focus is on taking your life up to the next level and beyond. And it's a beautiful experience.
Fantastic. I'll be there anyway, Skip. So I'll
Amazing.
make sure I'll put the links both for the audio and the video. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
No problem at all. So that's all for, I'll say, the Awakening podcast, the meditation podcast, and the speaking podcast. And you'll find everything about me on bio.link/podcaster. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends, especially this one, because I personally know that this works. So if you can go to it, if you're in a different part of the world, you'll be able to go online, and it ain't that expensive. It's actually extremely well worth it. So until next week, take care.